All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to this non-live Twitch. Still getting used to it. I actually watched my first couple Twitch videos this morning. I was watching some guy try to figure out Spotify API, and then also Thomas Rayner and Mark. He was doing some stuff with DevOps. And I was like, hey, that looks like a lot of fun. What I really liked about it was that um, it was nice to find out that other people use PowerShell the way that I do, because a lot of times I think that I don't use a debugger and I don't get all advanced and stuff, and so I kind of feel like my way is barbaric, but it appears to be the way that most people do it, and it's the way that made most sense to me. So anyway, today's soundtrack was actually there was some really awesome music in the background of one of the people's PowerShell videos, and I found out that it was Cloud Cluster from Martin Stock. So I'm listening to that, although it's going through my microphone or my headphones. So today, what I'm going to talk about is how it is that I do a bug fix in DBA tools. And the first thing, I love Shart links. So if you go to dbatools.io/bugs, this is where all of our bugs are. And currently we have 41. I think the other day I gotten it down to like 28 or something. Um, and so I go through here and I've actually did a little test run. And the one that sticks out to me is probably pretty approachable is the publish DBA DAC package should accept what if and confirm parameters. And I can't disagree with that. I think that when you make a modification to data or to a system state, that seems reasonable to me. And then this also gives me a chance to talk about what if and confirm, which I've always meant to get around to blogging about, but didn't have a chance to. So the first thing that I do is I'm actually going to go and sync my branches. I like GUIs. I love GUIs. And so I use GitHub for desktop. And I just wanted to make sure that all my stuff is fetched. And now I'm going to create a new branch. Bug fix, whatever. The command name. I don't always follow a pattern. I'm not going to publish it just yet. Whenever you publish, it starts a whole bunch of CI stuff and it goes through AppVeyor. So a lot of times in the beginning, I'll just keep it to myself and then I'll publish towards the end to save some cycles for all the Bitcoin miners. So another thing, I come here. I do use PowerShell Studio. I started using it before VS Code was prevalent. I never liked the ISC. I actually went from Notepad++ to PowerShell Studio, and now I am trying to get to code. But this little thing right here on the left, where it makes it so easy to find this, I hate short codes like keyboard. I do Control-C, Control-V, but otherwise, I don't want to Control-E. I want to see this always present on the left, and that's not something that's currently supported, nor can I build an extension for it, to my knowledge, in VS Code. So for now, I paid for this for another year, so I'm fine using it for the next 6 months while I figure things out with VS Code. So now that I've found publish DBA DAC package, what I'm gonna do. And by the way, this was interesting to me, at least. You may notice a lot of my fonts are giant, and it's because I'm older and I'm about to turn 41, and this happens. Like, it's really nice. I'm like, I don't have to like squint or anything. So the first thing that you have to do whenever you add in what if and confirm, you would add in supports should process. Hey, what happened? Okay, let me put in a little comma there. Let's just do it here. Supports should process. And then you have to set, or you should set, the confirm impact. And a lot of times you have to think about, what is the confirm impact? If you're deleting data, then it's high. Publishing a package can drop data. It can drop tables. It can recreate them. It can add a lot of data. So I'm going to go with confirm impact equals high. And what's going to happen, this means that pretty much by default, everyone that is running the DAC package should, they'll get prompted. And then what you have to do is go back here to the example and add the examples so that people know, hey, I could turn this off by doing dash confirm colon false. All right, so now that we got that, now that we've actually added that, what we need to do in addition to adding the examples is we also need to add, because our CI/CD process or CI process checks for if you have what if and if you do support should process, it checks for our help. So we need to add that. So I know that remove DBA database totally has this. I'm going to go ahead, just copy paste it. I like to add in this at the beginning because otherwise, I don't really know if I'm going to remember, and then, you know, to go through all of its tests and everything could be great, except I forgot to add this in, and that drives me crazy. So now that we have support should process and confirm impact equals high, if I were to just run this right now, it wouldn't prompt anywhere and it would just overwrite people's data, and that's horrifying. So I need to go in and add some things. What things? Well, let's go. Man, I just reuse my code all the time. So what I'm going to do is Control F here, should process. There it is. So I'm just going to copy this. And this one says, kill database on the server. This is kind of the prompt that you get. Next thing that I'm going to do, after I've copied that, I am going to look for things that actually modify data. And so far, this is a bunch of tests. It's just testing things. It's getting things. There's no modification so far, and there probably wouldn't be in the begin block, but we just want to check it anyway. All right, so now we get into the process block. Path, if you're wondering why path, and we did some checks up there and then we did some here, what's the difference? Well, path could potentially be piped in, and whenever you have piping, then that variable needs to be seen by the process block. And it can't be, if you try to do it up here in the begin block, it's just not going to work. So now I'm going through some connects, that's fine. Creating an object doesn't need a what if. This new DAC option doesn't write to disk, doesn't need a what if around it, because we don't want to make any modifications, right? We generally don't want to write to the disk or do anything that's persistent. This is a get, no big deal. This is some tests, no big deal. This is creating a new object, doing some tests. All right, so I see two things potentially. Here we have the result equals script, and that's generating script, and then also this publish, and this will potentially write CDAC package. This will probably output to screen, maybe, and this will probably send it to the server itself. Let's see, or maybe it's just actually, maybe it's the import. Okay, so one is a DAC pack that writes to disk, okay, and then one is a backpack that actually changes stuff. Admittedly, guys, I don't know much about DAC pack and backpack, and I just let somebody else write these commands, and then I follow them whenever I need them. If you're executing the DAC pack publish, the thing is that this feels like it should be writing to the server. Either way, I'm going to throw a what if around it. All right, so what you could do, oh, because look, deployment failed. So publishing will certainly write. Okay. Plus, it just sounds like it's going to write. There's your generation. All right, and then there's the output. All right, so now that we've gone through it, I've identified two primary things that are likely to modify the disk or to modify a server, and I'm going to wrap those. What I could do with what if, I know whenever I was first getting into what if, I was like, well, how do you tell it what it's going to be doing, and how deep do you get? Because we could put it way at the beginning, right? We could go up here to the top of process, and we could say, we could do right here. We could say something as generic as this. You don't need both those. You know what? Whatever. Where would we go? No, we go down here. So check this out. What you could do is something as super generically as this. For each SQL instance and instance, or SQL whatever, instance and SQL instance, you could say instance right here. Publishing or writing, scripting stuff. And then wrap this whole thing. But that doesn't necessarily give the end user enough information. And like what happens, if they type in the wrong SQL instance, that connect will never actually connect. So it's kind of a lie because it actually doesn't publish to that SQL server because it can't connect to it because it doesn't exist. So in order to get more detailed, what you do is you let it do as much as it can before actually throwing in that information. So, it's doing all this join path. It's actually creating the objects. It is connecting to the remote server, but a connect is a read. No big deal. All right, so what I'm going to do is I see this try, and a lot of times I will wrap my tries. And then let's see where this goes to. And then some finallys, and it goes all the way to the end. All right. So I want to wrap this whole thing because what I don't want is to output an object. By default, if you come here, you see this output right here. And then you have you're unregistering events and things like that. So I want to wrap potentially this whole thing. So I'm going to wrap the try catch. All right. So now I'm just going to do a placeholder. And I need to write it all around this try. This finally ends right there. So this should process will probably end right there. And then what I'm going to do is, so DBA tools, it takes a while to load up, especially for developers, because what we do is we note if you have a .git file in your DBA tools directory that you're loading from. So here you could see, actually it's hidden from me. I would have to go and unhide it. But I've cloned the GitHub repository, and our import script notes if you have a .git directory, then you are a developer. We're going to load each of the files one by one. And now that we have over 500, it takes forever, generally 7 to 13 seconds. But if you're an end user, it actually just loads this all commands.zip, and it usually takes about 3 to 4 seconds. So now I need to remember where I'm at. Oh, so I do F. And what F will do, it imports, I think it's like Pester, PS Framework, DBA checks, DBA tools, every single time that I do F. And that's just so I don't have to like import module, DBA tools -force. It's just a lot easier to type F. F probably came from the word force. My brain kind of just picked it and I let it. All right, so it looks like so far the syntax is okay. But let's see what happens when we run publish DBA DAC package. You know what? I think I needed to create, do some clears. I need to actually create a profile to pass it in. And I'll try to be a little bit, let's see, for the placeholder. A lot of times what I'll do is I will go to the verbose. I'll go to the verbose. This is actually a little bit more of a an advanced function that we usually don't have, like registering objects and stuff like that. But I will, what's interesting about the should process is that actually I believe it does write to verbose, so you don't need these right level verbose anymore. So I usually take this as a cue to just copy and replace up there. And let's just say that this was like another, a different type of function or script where I got more specific, because I do want to get more specific for this. So what I'm going to do is just Control Z a bunch of times. And then I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to delete this because, again, this is going to show up in verbose. I'll do the same for this. Executing deck, peck, publish. And then I'm going to delete this. But then we also need to say here what's going to happen. And I try not to put a period at the end, just because periods are only for complicated sentences as far as I understand. So now you're going to know, the end user is going to know that it's executing the backpack import against that specific instance, which is actually something that was missing from this verbose message. Since we do allow multiple servers, we should let them know which one we're executing it against. So this actually does help with documentation in a way. And something that I don't want to do is output these. So what I'm going to do, I don't want to output this to the screen because it makes people think that potentially something actually happened. So I'm going to copy this. There's no output path, so this may be a problem. So I'll probably just wrap this whole thing. And is it in the finally anyway? Unfortunately, this won't be as clean as I would like, but because what I would like it is for just to say executing backpack import, and that's the end. But I'm going to have to wrap this and kind of give an idea of what's happening. Generating deployment report and output probably. All right. And it should probably be that one, but it doesn't really matter. It just adds it. Yeah. All right, that seems to cover everything. So now I'm going to F again. And then I'm going to kind of look over my work. All right, so the support should process. Oh, what am I missing? I need to put in an example. And then actually modify each of these because I've modified the entire command. And I need to go to the test for it, because I'll also need to say now confirm false, because when you're running a test, there's nobody there to click OK. And whenever I tried to do the PS default parameter values, for some reason confirm just kind of blew up our app there. So that's something that I do need to check. All right, so here's this is the export. That's fine, but now we need to do publish. Confirm false. publish, right? And then publish. And you go to each one that says publish. Oh, so this is how I'm gonna know if it could work or not. It's actually, I forgot about that. Because I was like, man, I'm just gonna have to come up with something. But I could actually just copy paste this into my console. I'm going to confirm false. Confirm false. So now I've confirmed false on all of those. Something else that I could have done was just copy paste this and said confirm false on anytime that it said publish DBA DAG package. But I've noticed some people, whenever I do that, they will submit a PR, and as they're doing their own tests, they will just throw it at the end. So I figured that it's true though, because whenever you're looking through this, you're not expecting confirm false to be at the beginning. You're expecting it to be at the end, and I totally get OCD and I appreciate it. So that's why I'm doing this kind of manually here. All right, so then now I'm just gonna load my modules one more time and then test. I like to clear, test, publish, DBA, DAC package. To see if I did this right, at least with the tests. Check that out. That's really cool. I need to go and update our tests. So while this is running, I'm going to go and say it's 13. And the reason is because we have added what if and confirm. Oops, param count 15 right here. Default param count, we've added 2 onto there. And we've actually gone away from doing this. So as I go through here, I just clean that up and I say param count is known params.count at the end. Everything else, awesome, looks good. So that confirm works. We don't get any errors there. And let me try this again. All right, and now I fixed the parameters. So this shows how to both add what if and confirm to a pretty specific degree, and also fix the test for it as well. Now what I'm going to do, because I'd like to see the output of it whenever I do perform a what if, is it's very hard to test what if too, because it actually outputs, oops, dropped my water. It actually outputs things to the screen. And I know that Frederick Weinman, he actually added something into PS Framework that allows you to test what if, that kind of subdues that default what if output. And I need to add that to our testing framework, but I haven't yet. So now that I've added that, what I'm going to do is I need to actually test it. And this is a really great way to test it, is to come and copy these commands. Script 1 and instance 2 and things like that are in, they're in my profile. So let's go ahead and actually just look at that. So you can see script 1 is local, and then instance 2 is a remote server. I'm going to copy paste this. Oops. All right. And then I'm also going to copy paste this. I think, right? I'm just exporting the DAG package. Now, this shows this DAC pack. I'm going to check to see. Cool. Alrighty. So this is pipeable. And we're going to do, and I'm assuming that if you pipe it, it'll actually just take that path. So we're going to take this DAC pack and we're going to publish it with, first, to make sure that a prompt appears as expected. Boom. So you can see it says executing DAC pack published on SQL 2016. I'm going to Control C, Control C. Oh, and then generating, because if you remember, I added this in 2 places. Now it is generating I'm just Control C. So I can confirm that that works. Now, what if, check that out. All right, cannot subscribe to the specified event. A subscriber with the source identifier message already exists. So we had talked about that before with the register object, that this is an unusual one, but I actually had to deal with this in another one. I forgot what I was doing, but with what if, I kind of had to cover it. So let's go ahead and see how we could fix that, because that's ugly. What was it? Register object event. I generally don't try. I don't really like showing users how the sausage gets made. And I whenever you're doing a what if. But right off the top of my head, first of all, why isn't this over there? Off the top of my head, I'm thinking that I will just say, registering event. Since register object event doesn't support what if. Oh, that's why. Okay. I'm just kind of figuring my way through, seeing if there's a more appropriate way. Because I generally don't tell the users, hey, I'm registering an event, because that doesn't mean anything to them. And I do try not to do things like this, like generating deployment report and output, because nobody really cares about that. I mean, this is executing the DAC pack published against the SQL instance is what they're really looking for. And by the way, what they're also looking for is to make sure that all of this completes. So even though we're not outputting a lot to what if, it's still a useful placement, because all of this stuff is executing and it is working, right? So you know that your new DBA DAC pack option is going to work, etc. So let me go back here, kind of determine, do I have to tell them that I'm registering an event? And then I could also kind of see, like, what if? No, doesn't support it. I've never seen that before. Because if it did, then it actually wouldn't have registered that. So it would be implied, and I wouldn't have gotten this error. So unfortunately, it looks like I do have to tell them a little bit more than I wanted to. But c'est la vie. What I could also do, probably, was repeat the code, but I'd rather, within this should process, but I'd rather not. So registering, I don't know, registering required events. That doesn't mean anything to the user, though. How about and I hate this. So you could see that, oh, you know what? Oh, this is cool. All right. Instead of doing that, what I will do is, awesome. Control Z. I'm going to put that unregister outside of that. Boom. That way it can register and unregister as required. Excellent. All right. So let's go ahead and reload the module and then ask it what if. No, why? Why? Is it because I already did it? It could be because I need to reopen. Do I need to do it? No, okay, hold on. Ugh, I'm gonna have to go through all of this again. So load up all my modules and then let's go back to here. Because if it unregistered, then I shouldn't be getting that. And you can see that it's unregistering here, right? And then it starts that there. And I probably could have said like unregister event instead of restarting over, but I restart all the time. Because it's like, it's the cleanest way to do it. That's fine. It's because I had already did it before. I should have run all the after all, but whatever. All right, so let's see if this is going to work. And if it gets too messy, then I'll just go run all the after alls. Or I'll just run the test once. All right, now what we want to do. Oh man, I just forgot to run what if because I was too concerned. I was in my head. What I actually should have done at the beginning was gone ahead and assign myself so that nobody else starts working on this. So let me just go ahead and run this test once so that it's going to fail probably because I've already done a bunch of stuff to it, but it'll also run all of those after alls. So it'll kind of clear out and clean my my test environment. Now if we do this, it's going to be all green again and our environment will be nice and clean. I need to check my sound preferences real quick. Oh, jeez. This whole time it sounded terrible. My apologies. That makes me sad. All right, so now that everything is clean, I am gonna go and copy paste a bunch of stuff. Now I have to remember that I want to throw a what if on the end. So I'm going to, well, the first thing that we want is to, let's just throw what if, what if. Cool, that's what I had expected, is that it would say this. So we're creating new deck pack options, we're executing it. Unsubscribe, yeah, so that's interesting. So the unsubscriber does have that built-in what if. And then generating deployment report. So it's interesting that the register doesn't have built-in what if support, but the unsubscriber does. And now it looks like everything's good. If we take that off with the confirmation, oh, look at this. That's why. Why isn't the register? Why does only... How interesting. All right, so that means that the unregister, I'm in the wrong one, that the unregister does support it. If the register doesn't, then that would be a problem. So what I'm going to basically do is, because I have to wrap a native event, I'm going to try to follow what it is that they say and do. So I'm going to go and grab this, because I never do support should process by default or like from memory. All right, so I'm going to take it, I'm going to wrap it. And then I'm going to go back to see. So they said executing DAC publish. Let's see, unsubscribe on target event subscription MSG. Ooh, nasty. So we know that it's MSG from here. All right. So I might have to unsubscribe forcefully or unregister. Okay, that's fine. Okay, let's do this again. Excellent. Do we want to do that? No. Do we want to do this? No. Okay, cool. And now, what if? That's really nice. However, wait. If I didn't reload my stuff, that shouldn't have been as pretty as it was. Okay. Cool. Oh, there we go. All right. So the new subscriber is there. So now, no matter how many times we run this, with confirm, without confirm, y'all, I'm about to go crazy. We wrapped that. And it does unregister. This is a bit unusual, probably, I think. What I'm going to do, if you just saw, I closed that out because I want to see what happens if it's from scratch. Now we are 38 minutes into this bug fix, that it should have just had this small little thing. And this is how a whole year gets away from you. But it's been a lot of fun. I absolutely love PowerShell and working on stuff, especially whenever like everything is just coming together. I really like adding these types of things. A lot of times whenever you just program the meat of it, it doesn't take that long, but then you have to do the tries, the catches, and things like that. And what if confirm is extraordinarily useful and well worth the investment. And this is something that I do sometimes add as an afterthought. But I do like whenever people submit the bug reports for them because that means that it's important to them. And I try to take that very seriously. It may not be important to me. I may not even use the command, but if somebody wants it, they're probably speaking for quite a number of other people. So now that everything has been loaded, let me go ahead and run this again. Oh, yeah. Geez. Publish. Once we get some green, I'm going to restart the whole process. Control V, and hopefully it's still in my my clipboard. All right, it is. That should go no problem. A little before all, we're gonna generate that DAC pack. Oops. Something that's still on my to-do list is that I do need to write about this in the examples. So hopefully I'll remember by the time that I've gone to create my PR. Let's do our what if. Check that out. Absolutely weird as hell. Absolutely weird. All right, fine. What I will do is this is almost like too weird to even show. But this is what I'm gonna do anyway. This must be some kind of bug. I expect that at some point whenever I run this, it'll actually give me a registration error. Now, see, this is actually one of the reasons why I don't like to add that, right? Because the person does have, what do they know about unsubscribing on target? So it's not just about hiding the way that things get made. It's about making this meaningful. And for me as an end user, I would be like, I don't know, I guess unsubscribe on target. So now that I've done all of this, I'm going to rework everything that I've just done. Because I don't want people to be prompted every single time. You know, I think I'm going to go back to my original idea of just, if this isn't wrapped in what if, and the other one isn't wrapped in what if, then they should just, who cares if, is it because there's no finally in a try-catch? I think there is. Sorry, I meant not a fine. Is there a finally in a try-catch? I meant like, is it process? But I should process. Of course it is. Probably. Maybe it's not. Let's see. Yeah, totally. I'm just gonna go copy paste. If I do it again, yeah, then there's gonna be an error. All right, so let's see if this works. Oh my God. No sense. You may notice over here, this worked. It's because you don't have to put the whole thing. You don't have to put the whole parameter. It can autocomplete. But if there was a what ifs plural, or if there's like, what if I did this? Then that wouldn't work because there'd be more than one. This drives me absolutely bananas. I'm going to try this all again from a completely fresh, did I press F? All right, from a completely fresh console. And see if maybe I'm just losing my mind. I'm going to run that test. No, I'm going to run all the after alls because maybe it was the test that was getting in the way somehow. Oh, shit. Right, so now that I have those names, okay, that's fine. I don't care. Okay, so now that I've kind of cleaned it up, I'm gonna go and run this. So I did the before all there. I'm gonna do this before all. While that's running, I'm gonna go and do this, and I have to remember again, type dash what if at the end. Once that's done, I do want to do a combination to see if I can break it again. Wow. I probably won't paste this video because I don't think that this should be the solution, honestly. You see this? You see how before it wasn't showing up? I would love if somebody could, I don't know if anybody's actually made it through this video to tell me why are we getting such conflicting. I'm actually going to rewatch this to see if I did something. So if you remember, I mean, to me, whenever I look at this, the answer would be, oh, well, then put, you know, a what if around the registration. But then whenever I did that, then that caused more problems. So this is just super frustrating. And, you know, because this appears to be a bug to me, I think that that's why, you know, ignore the silently continuing would be okay in this instance. I generally try not to, but let's see if it works fine without it. So executing DAC pack publish, yeah, go ahead, do it. A deployment report is something that's, you know, if it was just the output, I'd be more upset about this, but a deployment report is no big deal. This is missing a result. I don't know if that's intentional. So if we run our tests, then they should all work. Actually, it may fail the first time since I kind of reuse those things. So let's do this. All right, and now that it looks like it's pretty much done, I'm going to go back here to number 4, 824. before I do that, I'm going to use G, which is invoke DBA tools formatter. It formats it to ONSB. I don't know. It's something that code does naturally, but PowerShell Studio doesn't, that I'm aware of. So what I'm going to do is publish DAC. So it'll rewrite it. And now that it's not going to fail that test because our publishing is proper, even fix this up a bit. Oh yeah, I did that. So I'm going to create a pull request, publish the branch. Oh, please don't mind my, I got a dark theme, but you know, it's not supported natively, and so this just needs to be updated. This happens like every time. Sorry if it's a little off now. Oh, I suppose I should do this properly. Let's see. So I gave it a decent name. Actually, so we could actually say fixes here. Number 4824. Are these breaking changes? In a way. And by the way, I do remember now. I have to go back and update my examples. Is this a breaking change? I don't know, because now you have to confirm. I don't think so. Maybe. No. Bug fix. And I did. I ran the manual one. And for these, because I fill out so many PRs, a lot of times I do take the easy way out, but that's just me. And I kind of type stuff up, but for other people, I super appreciate it whenever everything's filled out. And with screenshots, that makes it a lot easier for me, because then I don't have to like test it as hardcore. So now that that's done, I am going to go in, and add a whole bunch of stuff to the... We have a lot of examples here. So for the first one, I will add prompts for confirmation. Then for the second one, because people are going to want to know, how do I stop making it prompt? I'll say confirm $false. Does not prompt for confirmation. And then for the rest of them, I usually go like back and forth a couple times. Oh, this is export, but then it pipes to publish. Oops, I'll leave that there. Oh my God, I drive myself crazy sometimes. That one will prompt. This one will not. Oh, look at that. This does not have a description, and it does not appear to be a copy paste. So that is something that I need to talk to the authors about. What does this do? So it publishes. All right, so that should do it. And then I will ask for a couple people's input added about the severity. All right. So thank you so much for joining me. This has been doing one bug report, or sorry, bug fix, adding what if and confirmation to a command, which I've always wanted to show everyone. So I'll be passing this past a couple people, and if it makes it through, I will be adding it to Twitch. Thanks again for joining me.